Okay, we're up to Daf Mem, and we're holding Lamed Tes on the base. But the Mishnah had stated there's differences between Mefata and Onus. Mefata pays three things, and Onus pays four things. You're going to pay for Tsar, Boishes, Pagam, and Knas. Mefata is Knas, Boishes, and Pagam, and not Tsar. But we said Mefata, you do not have to marry her. By Onus, you do have to marry her, and despite whatever she is, the lashon of the Mishnah was Kate said Shoyse Bat Tzitzai. Right, like he made his bed, he drinks his drink. Okay, so we're up to the two dots on Lamed Tes on the base. Eine Shoyse Bat Tzitzai. Amle Rava mi Pasrika Ravashi says Rava from Pasrika to Ravashi Michti. Migmar Gome Mehadadi. Nami Ligmar Hadadi. Guys, we learned that yesterday. He said by Onus it says 50. By Mefata it says Shkolim. Kesuvos. So we learned that one from the other. So once you're learning one from the other, let's extend the halacha of the need to marry from Onus to Mefata and say Mefata also has to marry. So why do we say Mefata doesn't have to marry? If you learn that one from the other, let's learn that Mefata also would have to marry against his will. It says, my quote, pasuk says, Moyer Yamarenu loy leisha. No, it says Moyer Yamarenu loy midaitai. In other words, it says that he gives a gift like Sulais is midaitai. So Gzeirus Akasiv that he doesn't have to marry her. So Kesha Shosha Bat Tzitzai. So he said that no matter whatever she's in, whatever state, if she's a cripple or she's blind, he has to marry her. Amrav Kahana, Amiros Lashmatz Kmed Rav Zvid min Adoi. Said Rav Kahana, I said the sugya in front of Rav Zvid from Adoi that Nesi essay Vinitri Lois essay. Let the essay rod of Loisi Elisha come along and be doiched the Lois essay Elayave Mamza Bekal Hashem. We said that we said that if it's the Mishnah said, fellas, that if it's someone that's not someone that's right, then he doesn't have to marry her. So if he's minus the mamzeres, he doesn't have to marry her. Fred the Gemara, why not? Say of Elisha Isha, be doichelos say Layav Mamza B'Kal Hashem. We know B'Chol Torah Kula that say dochelos I say. Right? I just ask you a kasha because it's a. I think it's a pasha de kasha just to bring you back to Yevam's days. We had a sugya, but when a kohen gadol can't marry has to marry basula, right? So let's say a woman was divorced from Gerushin. She was divorced from Gerushin. Let the asay dochalos asay, and she's still a basula. So the mitzvah asay of the mitzvah asay of yibum. Mitzvah asay of yibum should be doicha lois asay of. So we said it's true, it is daicha, but we're going to be a rishayna to be a shniya. Only the first beer would have a heta. You might remember this, guys. Only the first beer you would have a heta. You might have a heta for the second beer. So what's the Gemara's kasha? What's the Gemara asking? Let's say I say dochalos say. Even if you can say I say dochalos say, it's only in the first relation. After that, she's a mamzer, so you have to divorce her. So again, it's fair. Okay. Anyway. But anyway, what is the Gemara says? Let the asay of loisei liyisha v'dochalos say. So why does the Mishnah say that you don't if she's an isha that's not why it should be daicha? Says the Gemara. Heichi amina nesi asay v'nichalois asay. When do we say asay dochalos asay? Kigon mila b'tzaras. Let's say on top of you're not allowed a negat tzaras, you're not allowed to remove. But let's say there's a negat tzaras on the orla. So you're kind of the mitzvah of mila. You're gonna be so there. Where it's not possible to avoid it. She says, I don't want to marry. Is there any assay at all? So in other words, it's mashma over here. That assay is not dochalos assay because it's an assay that is not necessarily going to be fulfilled. After all, let's say the woman says, what happens? She says, I don't want to be married to you. Right? Then she won't be married. So what's the hezbollah over here? So the Ritfas is a very nice hezbollah, like this. I'm not going to disagree with you. You have an assay and a los assay. And we know from Masechta Yevamis, it's a little shverlach why they bring Mila and Saras. Why don't they bring the main source, which of course is that you can wear tzitzis of Kalayim, right? With the whole sugya, you can make Gedilim Tassel L'Cholei Silba Shatnis, really. And in fact, there's a gears on the side from the Taisus Yishonim that does say that. But again, it's a little why they brought that. Once you're saying, I say, let's bring the source. And we know the source is Kalayim B'tzitzis. So over there, it's not possible to Mekayim the mitzvah of tzitzis without the kalayim. This beged is made of kalayim. There's no way.
It's possible.
What?
It is possible.
How?
You can make it of the same. You don't have to break it from.
Right. So therefore, yeah. But you're
Makai.
Makayim at the same time. In other words, you could avoid it. I agree, you could avoid it, but when you're absolute, so you want to say that's why you're not goyris it. That's why. So you want to say this. So mila and here you can't do. So the reason you're not goyris that is because it's possible to go ahead and be Makayim in a different oifen, right? But what after this particular beged? Okay. Anyway, I think that's Tosfos Yeshanim says that. He says that's why you're not goyris it.
Oh.
That's why you don't bring it. I think Goofy is saying that's the reason we don't bring it, because you should bring it. It's a very good point, Chaim. Okay, but so what's the hezbollah? The Riffa says, here's the way the Riffa learns Pshat. Haniach essay dochalos essay, but it's got to be a starka essay. It's got to be a real strong essay. In other words, Mila is Gimel Bisa is Pashas Lech Lecha. It's a really powerful essay, right? And so that essay is dochalos essay. Tzitzis, all the mitzvahs, Taryag mitzvahs. In other words, it's got to be a powerhouse of an essay. Over here, the fact that you don't have to do it is indicative that it's not so strong. But what's your kasha? Loisei liisha. So loisei liisha, go ahead and be doicha mamza. Obviously, loisei liisha is not so strong. You know why it's not so strong? Because you can do it completely. If she says, "I don't want to marry you," there's no mitzvah. So therefore, that's the way the Ritva learns Pshat over here. That's the way the Ritva learns Pshat over here. There are there's a lot of rate on this, and then in the Sifta there's a lot of rate on this. But Kedarki B'Kodesh, I will go on. Give you. After all, we'll do what we do. Okay. So what's the lashon? So the lashon again. Heichi, I mean, an essay. Loisa sekein mila b'tzaras. Toli efshal l'kiyumo ivasei. Aval hacha I amra d'loi ba'ina miyisil asay klal. If you're going to say that, what that says, I don't want it. Is there an assay at all? There's not a say over there. There's not a say over there. It says the Mishnah. Soima kama. Guys, you saima that shenis arsa, who shenis garsha, or a woman that we had erisin and gerishin. Okay, you might let me just go. Let's go back in time. Remember the pasuk, but you need three things: besula, naira, right, and asher lo yarasa. Good. What happens if she was engaged, meaning married and divorced, but still a besula? Machlokes between Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Yosei Glili. Says Rabbi Yosei Glili, no, there's no honest in that parsha. Says Rabbi Gamliel, it says Rabbi Akiva, there is, but it goes to him. It goes to her. It goes to her. It's opposed to the father, it goes to her. So now you have Yesaima, Shenis Arsa, Ushenis Garsha, Rabbi Lezaim, Ha'onis Chayev. There's a din of honesty of Mefata Pata. There would not be an Indian of Mefata. Let's see Rashi over here. The Kivin the Yesaima who Ukanash Shalahi. Since she's a Yisayma and it's her kanas, the achlos the achalte, and she was meichlet. You know why she was meichlet? Because she agreed to go ahead and consent to be with him. Right? This is mafata. The medaitin is spotted the loy in her own das. She was spotted him potter. Therefore, he's potter. And the Gemara is going to explain it's not going Yisoyma. That's the way I read it that way, guys, right? I read it, there are two separate cases, Yisoyma Kama and a separate case. Guys, you hear, why is on this Chayev? Because we're going to go like Rabbi Akiva. Like Rabbi Yosei Glili, Yipata. Like Rabbi Akiva, Yechayev. Why is Yisoyma Pata and Mefata? Because she acquiesced. She was there, she was Pasha Nafshe. Says the Gemara, Amar Rabbi Bar Avchana, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Lazar B'Shitas Rabbi Akiva Rabbi Yama. Rebbe Lazar, this is guys, the Rebbe Lazar and Shmuel. Again, I always say this because it's such a good idea to know. Teach your kid. The Rebbe Lazar of the Mishnah is Rebbe Lazar ben Shamua. The Rebbe Lazar of the Gemara is Rebbe Lazar ben Padas. So this is Rebbe Lazar ben Shemua. This Rebbe Lazar ben Shemua is listed as one of the 5 Talmidim that Rabbi Akiva, when he had, and his 24,000 Talmidim died, the 5 that he went up north and he began teaching Torah through them. So says Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Yochanan, Rebbe Lazar, the Rebbe Lazar of our Mishnah, Rebbe Lazar ben Shemua, B'shitas Rabbi Akiva Rabbi Yama. He said his din in the shita of Rabbi Akiva's Rebbe. That what? That Yesoyma, Shenis Arsa, Shenis Garsha, not like Rabbi Yosei Glili, that there is no what? There is no knas at all, but like what? Like Rabbi Akiva, and it goes from the father to her. The Omar Yeshla Knas, that an Irish Shenis Arsa, Shenis Garsha, there is Knas, U'Knas Atzma, and the Knas goes to what? To herself. Memai, Midiktani Yisaima. When we learned Yisaima, Rebbe Eliezer Oimak Oinis Chayiv Amafata Pata Yisaima Pshita. It's pashit. Elo Kamash one. It's not the Yisaima part, guys. Yisaima is pashit, right? Why should she lose the fact of an honest that she's a Yisaima? Doesn't make any sense. So Elo Kamash one. The Nairish and this Arsav this Gasha Yisaima. My Yisaima Latzma. Af Nairish and this Arsav this Gasha Latzma. So the whole reason Yisaima is put in is for a parallel to the second case. Because why should she lose the Kanas because she's Yisaima? Obviously not. But it's coming to teach me, just as the assignment goes la'atzma, so too what the nisarsa of niskasha goes to the heart. Amrav Zera, Amarav, Rav Shila, Amarav, Hamnuna, Saba, Amrav Ada Barava, Amarav, big build-up. Halacha Rebbe Laza. The halacha is like Rebbe Laza, and Kori Rav Alod the Rebbe Laza, and Rav said regarding Rebbe Laza, Toivina de Chachimi. He said the more fortunate of the Chachamim. Okay, nice little. Let's see a little Rashi, guys. Nice Rashi. Tuvina de Chachimi, Meusha sheba Chachamim, Meusha, the fortunate of the Chachamim. Ashrei mitargminan tuvyu. The word Ashrei, the Aramaic translation is Tuvoy. Now Rashi gives a little history, like I just mentioned. Rebbe Laza, who rose ben Shemua. When it says Rebbe Laza, it's Rebbe Laza ben Shemua. The Talmidei shel Rabbi Akiva. He was the Talmud of Rabbi Akiva. Kitamina bivamis ba'abali avimtai. And the world was desolate after Rabbi Akiva lost the 24,000 Talmidim. The whole world was desolate. At Shabar Rabbi Akiva, Eitzel Rabbi Senu Shebedarim, and it came to in the south. I said the north, the south. The Shana Lahem, who were the 5 Talmidim. Rabbi Meir is one. Rabbi Yehuda Bar Eloi, I think. Rabbi Yehuda ben Bava. I think it's one or the other, obviously. Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Shimon Bechai, Rabbi Elazar ben Shamua, and he was called the fortunate one of the Chachamim. So beautiful Gemara, beautiful title. Okay, says the Gemara Mishnah, Eze Boishis. What is considered Boishis? Hakol Lefi HaMevayish HaMisvayish. There's usually when there's a Chavola, guys, there's five things. Chamisha Devarim. Nezek, Tsar, Ripu, Shevus, and Boishis. Okay, so we're familiar with Pagam. We're going to see there's three chiyuvim over here. There's the kanas, which is a given, the davakotz of a 50 shkalim. There is pagam, and there's boishes. Yeah, there's pagam and there's tsar. So right now, they're discussing how do you go ahead by mefata, which doesn't have tsar. How do you go ahead and figure out the boishes and pagam? So what is boishes goes? Hakolafi hamavayesh vamisvayesh. It goes according to the one who does the embarrassing, vamisvayesh, and the one that is embarrassed. Okay, how does Rashi learn? Hakolafi hamavayesh. Adam Beinani, Hamivayish, another Beinani who goes ahead and he's Mivayish, he embarrasses others. Kasha, his embarrassment is more severe. May Adam Zaylel than a lower person, Uba Adam Chashiv or a Chashiv a person. Guys, Rashi is saying the following. Take a look at me. If you have a low person being Mivayish you, so you look at him, you say, who is he, right? This is not as garnish McGarnish. If a chashuva person is mevayishu, it's almost an honor. It's a chashuva person. So what's considered the maximum in bush is a regular guy. That's the way Rashi learns. Other people learn the opposite. Other people said if a chashuva person is mevayishu, it increases the level of busha. It increases the level of busha. But the busha goes according to the mevayish and the misayish. Pigam. How do you go ahead and ascertain pigam? Roy and I saw we view it. Ilu he shifcha nimcheres b'shuk. If it's a shifcha that is sold in the street. Kame ha'yafa v'kame yafa. How much she was worth as a basula and how much she's worth as a ba'ula. The Gemara is going to ask. Obviously, if she's working for you, who cares why she's a ba'ula at a basula? It has nothing to do with her ability to work. Yet it seems over here a basula would go ahead and get more money on the slave market. That difference is pagam. That difference is the pagam. Kanas, what's kanas? The 3 kanas of shava b'chol adam. It's equal 50. B'chol sheyesh le kitzva min haTorah shava b'chol adam. And anything that has a kitzva set amount in the Torah is equal but to all men. In other words, as I spoke out a few times, the kanas is either a set amount or when you're paying more or less. More or less. So kefil, you're paying more, double, daled v'hei. These are all kanasles. 50 of a kanas of anus. Meya of Mighty Shemra, 30 of an Eved. There's a halacha of an Eved that gets gored by an ox. You're going to pay 30. That's a set amount, regardless of the value of the Eved. Okay, so Choshesh Lekitza, is a Torah shava b'chol adam. Anything the Torah gives a set amount is shava b'chol adam. Fred Gemara ve'emo chamishim sloyim. A seller and a synonymous with a shekel. Guys, why do you assume that there's more payment besides the 50? We said there's 50 for the knas, there's boshes and pagam. Why don't you say 50 encompasses everything? You can't make a separate claim. It's one big claim. How do you know you did, right? So Amrachmana mikol mili. Ve'ema chamishim sloyim Amrachmana mikol mili. So Rabbi Zera, Yomru, people will say, boil bas malachim. If you ma'anis a princess, chamishim, boil bas hadyotis, you boil a regular person, chamishim, it makes, in our svara, it makes no sense to say that there should be, that 50 should cover everything, because obviously if you're ma'anis a princess, there should be a larger price to pay than if you're ma'anis what? A regular person. Amalei Abaye says, Abaye to Reb Zera, ihachi, gabi eved nami, by Eved as well, and again, this is going on the Shleishim Shel Eved, guys. Shleishim Shel Eved is what when an Eved gets gored. Yomru Eved Noikiv Margolios Shleishim, an Eved who can do a very fine job. He's able to go ahead and makes holes, literally make holes in pearls. He strings pearls. Shleishim and Eved Amid Beis Oisa Maisa Machad. He's a pashat. He's a tailor. Shleishim, and obviously they shouldn't be equal. In other words, if you're telling me that the kenas is contingent upon the level of the person, so there must be a bigger, a larger sum. So too by the negicha of shleishim shel eved, there should be a difference. And we know there's not. So therefore, your svara Rabbi Zera is not a good svara. So Ella Rabbi Zera, I'll give you another svara. Ilu bo shnayim. If two people were ma'anis this woman, echad kedarka, v'echad shloi kedarka. One was boil Shloi Kedarka, and the other was Boil Kedarka. Yomru, Bol Shleima Chamishim. If you boil a complete sula, it's 50. Boil Paguma, if you boil a Paguma, it's 50. In other words, it doesn't make any sense. In other words, so it must be that what? There's a difference. The difference must be in the Baishas and the Pagam. Again, it would make sense to think that a woman who had previously lost the virginity, even Shloi Kedarka or Kedarka, and then another one that there should be a difference in price, and nonetheless there must be a difference in price, but then that math is 50. So obviously the only way you can go ahead and ascertain the difference in price must be auspicious of Pagam. It can't be at some Kanas itself. It can't be in the 50 itself. It can't be all encompassing. Amalei Abaye to Reb Zera, I got a kasha. Ihachi, if that's the case, Gabi Eved Nami by Eved as well. Yomru Eved Birya, a healthy Eved Shleishim, Eved Mukach Shchin, an Eved that is suffering from terrible disease in his skin and loses limbs. Shleishim should be Shleishim. In other words, again, obviously he's not a Shlema. Obviously, and yet what? Yet we know Shleishim is the set amount. Elam Rabbi, I'll tell you the difference. Amar Kreda Pasuk says, why do you pay the 50? Tachas asher ina, right? Hani tachas asher ina. The 50 is only for what? The fact that he pained her. Mechlal we can infer. The ikka boishus supagam. There must be something else. Why are you paying 50, guys? The Torah gives a specific reason. I'm paying 50. Why? Tachas asher ina, you paying her. Mashma what? Aside from that, there's another payment, and that is the boishus and the pagam. Rava Amar Kra. Rava gives a different source. Rava Amar Kra. V'nosana ish hashochev imo la'avi anayra chamishim kesef. If this sounds familiar, we had this earlier. V'nosana ish hashochev imo la'avi anayra chamishim kesef. What does that mean? Hanosh chiva non. He gives 50. Why is he giving 50? He's giving 50 for having being with her. What's the diak? 50 is just being with her. Mechlal the ikka boishas begam. It must be what? It must be what? Also the aside from that. So you got two pshatim, guys. You have Abaye's pshat tachas she'ina, and you got Rabbi's pshat is that what? You're paying 50 for the etzim shchiva. Mechal, there must be another payment. Now, where does this boishas begam go to? Now, Kenas clearly goes to the father. V'nosna avi naira. It says he has to pay to the father of the naira. So that's a given. But why does the father get the boishas and begam? That's what the Gemara's next question is. Let's say the boishas and begam goes to her. Let's say the boishas and begam goes to her. So Amakar, the pasuk says, "Binureha beisavia." We just had this in Parshas Matos and Masay, right? The parsha of Nedorim, it says Binureha When can you be made for nedarim? B'nurecha beisavia. Kol shvach nurel levia. Any money that is accrued when she is a naira would go to the father. So this would include the baishas of pagam. How do you know if a woman goes to work and she's a single girl? How do you know it goes to the father? If a man sells his daughter as an amma, so guys, make a hekesh now. It says we're gonna make a hekesh between the daughter and the ability to the father to send her as a slave. We're gonna make a hekesh. Just like an amma avriya, a slave, or anything she does goes to her master. Af bas ma'asidel lavia. So to a daughter, all ma'asidel go lavia. So you have a hekesh. So lamali, why do I need this hekesh? In other words, we have guys. We're asking a side question. How do you know if a girl goes to work and she makes some money, goes to the father? Because it says we make a hekesh to the amma. Why do you need that hekesh? It says binurel beisavia. As long as she's a naira, anything's going to go. Ella, you have to say, Hahiba first the Darim who dichsid. Guys, you can't learn enough binurel beisavia that the baishas and pagam should go to the father. Binurel beisavia is a sole halacha that as long as she's a naira in a father's house, he, with the husband, if she's engaged, are made for nedarim. If there's no husband, he's made for nedarim. So this is a din unique to nedarim. So in your query, whether you go ahead and pay, why is he getting boishas pagam, the father? It can't be binurel beisavia called shvach nur leveha, because that's only leading out for us nedarim. The raya is that we need a limud to teach me that any money the girl makes through a hekesh to amma, not binurel. So we're back to the original question: why does boishas pagam go to the father? Ella, how you been first nedarim with the siv? The chitema neilaf mine. So let's learn out from Hafaras Nedarim. We have a rule of thumb: Nimona Misur Layafinon. We don't learn out Choshen Mishpat from Yeredeya. You don't learn out Dine Mamanis from Nedarim, which is Yeredeya. The chitema neilaf mikanasa. Right. Let's learn out from Kanas. Just like the father gets the 50 Kanas, right? So to what the father gets the pagam. Why you'll tell me? The Moina Mikanasa Layafinon. So back to the original question: why does the father get the boishas of pagam? Mistabra, it's a svara, guys. It's not a limud. It's a svara the avia havi that it belongs to the father. The boy moiselol and menavel umugashkin. If the father wants to, guys, if the father wants to plague this woman, the father wants to go ahead and revise this woman. It's in his hands to do it because he can marry her off to someone who would not be very, very nice to be married to. A menuvel mukashkin, someone who's not such a fine fellow in a physical sense, and that would be a busha for her, and it would be a pagam for her. And nonetheless, he could do that, so therefore he gets the money. Pagam, we said pagam, we view it as a shifra, that's what we sold in the streets. Now, why would that make a difference? When you buy a shifra, ostensibly you're buying a shifra for her ability to work. So why, if she's a basula ba'ula, why would it make a difference? Which is what the Gemara is bothered with. How do you go ahead and evaluate this? How do you evaluate pagam? So Amar Avu the Shmuel, says the father Shmuel, how much a person be willing to give for a shifra that is a virgin versus a shifra that is not. L'shamshay. Again, l'shamshay means to mishamish, to good, not doesn't mean tashmish, it means to work. So l'chayra, what difference does it make? After the Gemara, ela ben shifra ba'ula l'shifra she'ena ba'ula l'asil la'avdai. How much a person would be willing to go ahead and pay for not for him, but to go ahead and mate with his eved. He wants to make a law, like we say, more knechtelach, right? Not knechtelach, knechtelach. You want to make, you know that word. You want to make more knechtem, right? So you want to go ahead and get more. You want to get some more slaves. So my nafla amina, right? Why to an eved? What difference would it make? Says no. The eved sheyesh leil rabbi kairos ruach imeno. We're speaking about an eved that the father has a kairos ruach from. In other words, he treats, Rashi says, he treats him very, very well. The Eved is a very loyal Eved. So the master wants to go ahead and give him the time of a basula. So therefore he would pay a little more for that. That's how you'd ascertain pagam. It says the Mishnah, Kol makim sheyesh mecher and kanas, Kol makim sheyesh kanas ein mecher. We're familiar with the fact that as long as the girl is a katana, the father is able to sell her into slavery. We're also familiar that once she brings 2 sarais, even before 6 years are up, she goes free. A naira goes free. So now, we also familiar with the Shita of Rabbi Akiva, that Rav Meir, the Shita of Meir, that Kanas is only by a Naira. Kanas is not by a Katana. So this Mishnah, of course, is going to be going to Rav Meir, and we're making it synonymous. If you can sell her, that means there's no Kanas, because she's a Katana. If you can't sell her, that means there is a Kanas, that means she's a Naira. Kol Makom Sheyesh Mecha means she's a Katana and Kanas. Kol Makom Sheyesh Kanas, meaning that she's a Naira, ein Mecha. Katana Yesh Le Mecha vein Le Kanas, Naira Yesh Le Kanas vein Le Mecha. HaBageres ein lo Le Mecha v'le Kanas. And Bageres is what? Is neither. Bageres, again, is 12 and 6 months. And then you don't have anything. Rav Yehuda Rav, since Rav Yehuda named Rav, Su Divrei Reb Meir. That a katana does not have onus is only according to Reb Meir. The Chacham of the opinion, Yesh Lo Kanas b'Makamecha, that you would be able to have both. Again, if this sounds familiar, we had it earlier in the second Amish in the second blot. So, guys, that Elonimus is the first or second blot of Elonimus. First blot of Elonimus. First blot. You hear this? Chacham say that it's possible a naira would have a katana with a kanas and mecha. So this Mishnah that says that they're not synonymous, right, would be according to Reb Meir. Where do you see that? The Tanya, we have a brayso. Katana mi bas yoim echad v'ad shetavi shtei sa'aros. A katana from the time she is 1 day old until she brings 2 sa'aros, yesh la mecha ve'en la kanas. When she brings, she's a naira, actually tabaga, 12 and 6 months. Yesh kanas and lemecha de Reb Meir. So again, Tana, no katas, only naira. That's our Mishnah. Again, before Gimel Shonim, guys, she would be a basula. Then we return. So from the time of 3 years old, to Boger until she becomes a Bogeris, yesh lo kanas. So again, according to Chachamim, not only a naira but a katana as well. So therefore, yesh lo kanas. Kanas in mechaloi. There's no name af kanas b'makom mecha. Even kanas b'makom mecha. Amar Chis, my time of Reb Meir. What's the reason of Reb Meir? What's the reason of Reb Meir? Now the kasha l'chayra. What's your kasha? Guys, what's your kasha? Guys, what's the Gemara's kasha? What's the reason of Reb Meir that a naira has kanas? It says before in the Torah, naira. What's the Gemara's kasha? So the Shittim Gubetza says, guys, I would thought naira means la afuke a boigeres. We're stressing naira to say, but not a boigeres, but a katana, yes. Again, outside, guys, wake up. We got a din. We have machloikas in the Chacham Reb Meir. Does the katana have kanas or not? Says Reb Meir, no. Says the Chachamim, yes. Katana does. Now, Fred the Gemara kasha, what's the reason for Reb Meir? I'm asking you, what do it mean for Reb Meir? It says the word naira. It says in the pasuk a naira. It says the word naira there. So the Shita says beautifully. It says naira does not mean la fuki a katana. Naira la fuki a boigeres. So my time with the Reb Meir that dafka a naira and not a katana, and not a boigeres. Okay. So it says the Gemara. Amar of Kisna, my time the Reb Meir. Amar Kra, the pasuk says v'lo yisiya leisha b'mahavi atzma kosem medaber. Loi to him tiyeh leisha, she'll be a wife. Someone who has the ability to mekadesh herself. Guys, a naira can be mekadesh herself. Havaya, Lashon Kedushin. A katana can't go ahead and be mekadesh herself. The lawyer, and to him, siya leisha. She has the ability of siya. She has the ability to go ahead and accept Kedushin. That's the one who's a naira. That's the reason for Reb Meir. For Rabbanan Amma, Rabbanan will say, Amar Ishlakish, name Ishlakish, Amar Kra. The pasuk says naira. Guys, now Ikar Chasam and a Sefer. If you look at the Bach, guys, the key sugi is the Bach. Amar Shlakish, Amar Kra Nar. It's missing the hay, guys. You know why it's missing the hay? To be Mamayat, you don't need a regular naira. Even if she's a katana, not a full-fledged naira, she's chasa. She's chasa being a naira. That's the way you know it from. So Amar Shlakish, Amar Kra. This is the Bach. You have to circle naira. I feel a katana mashma. Since it's missing a hay, it's mashma afilu, not a full-fledged naira. It's missing the hay to show what? Even a katana. Mashma shamar of Papa Breda of Hanan, Ibei Kaluchis, name of a place. Azul Amra Kamed Rav Simi. Rashi told the sugya over that the reason for the chonim that a naira who is what? A katana, not a naira, a girl that's a katana gets kanas. Amalei Aslain. So Amalei Aslain Aha Masnisan La. You learned this you learned this naira, the din of chasahei, regarding the parsha of onus, the violation. Ano and we Aha Masnisan La. We learned it on another sugya. In other words, we're going to bring in a totally different sugya, similar but different, and that's where we apply this chseira of naira too, that when you're missing the hay, it's mashma katana. Good? So you applied it to this case, we applied it to a different case. Reish Lakish, says Reish Lakish, HaMoitzi Shemra ala katana. Now there's a parsha, guys, of Moitzi Shemra, where a guy claims that he has Eidim, and it ends up he's lying, she has to pay this, not 50, but 100. You have to pay 100 shkolim. So now, if someone's Moitzi Shemra ala katana, he marries a katana, and he claims that she wasn't a basula potter, the potter from paying kanas. Because it says the nasnu la'avia naira. It says you give to the avia naira mole dibra kosev. It's speaking about what? A naira mole, meaning a full-fledged naira, but not a katana. No, it's a gezeres hakosev. In order to have the parsha of what? Of Moitzi Shemra of nasnu avia naira, a full-fledged naira, not a katana. Maskal Ravada Barava, time of the kosev Rahman naira. It wrote naira halav haki. Hava Amina Afilu Katana. You would, without the word naira, how could you possibly think that to be a parsha might be shamer by a katana? Vokasiv, then emes hoyadava hazer, and loinimsu besulim lenaira, v'hoitzias naira pesach besavia, this saklua. Guys, if the naira was engaged, mirasa, and she was mizana, you know what she gets? She gets skila. Yeah. What about a katana? She's not about Reinshin. So how can you need why do you need a pasuk to be Moitzi a katana from the parsha of Moitzi Shemra? The fact that she's a katana, it doesn't fit this box over here that you have to have. And if it's true that she was mizana, she gets killed, and the katana doesn't get killed. So I don't need the word naira to an exclude or gavaldik kasha. The katana la bas einshim he. She's not a bas einshim. Ela kan naira over here where it says full fledged, it's a naira. Halkomakom shenamar naira without the hay. I feel katana mashme. You don't need the naira to exclude it. You need the word naira over here to explain the difference. What's the difference when you have a hay and chaser? Over here, where it says by Moitzi Shemra, it says you'll give to hanaira, and it's written mole. There, it's naira, not a katana. But a katana, if it's the naira is written chaser hay, then mashma feel katana. So this is where they applied the din of Rav Ada Rava. He not Rav Ada Rava, Rav Simi, but Ashi said we applied this din of naira by Moitzi Shemra, where you, as opposed to you, applied it by the parsha of honest. Have a good evening.